morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is our 2 Cents podcast. This week, I'm going to be talking to Master Paco Briseño. Paco is one of the associates of DNA, and we want to, in this session, crack the code on the question, can you be a 50-year-old startup? Welcome, Paco. Maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit.
Hi, Rahim. Thanks for having me here. And I'm Paco Briseño. I'm a happy person, happily married, happy father of 3, and a happy professional in the area of innovation, coaching, and mentoring. That is really something that I love to do. And I'm happy to share some of my experience with you today.
Great. Thank you for joining. I think it's going to be a really exciting session. Just as a bit of an introduction, I've been working for a 150-year-old startup. At least we call ourselves a 150-year-old startup. And our intention was at that time that we were actually quite still. The products we had were products we had for a long time. We were trying to innovate on those products, which were more, I would call it new releases, new versions, new design of the UI, etc. But actually, we found that we were not innovating ourselves through the needs of our clients. We intended to do more value propositions. We looked at them. We built up new functions, but actually, we were busy with evolution versus revolution. And this is also the reason why I asked Paco to join me for this topic, because I think there is a way forward if you are a 50, 20, 50, 100-year-old company to actually achieve that innovative mindset, that innovation within your organization. So we're going to aim today in this session to crack the code of being a 50 or 100-year-old organization, but crack the code in, can we be a 50-year-old startup, and can we actually transform our organizations towards that objective? So Paco, when you look at the difference between startup, scale-ups, established organizations, if I purely look at how those organizations hire people and how those organizations are set up, there's a massive difference in how people fulfill their roles and positions. If you look at a startup, I generally see when I work with startup companies is that 99% of the people have been joining the organization because there was a vision towards the future, a vision of innovation, creativity, but most of the time there's a lack of process. There's totally no process, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But if I look at the organizations I worked for myself, and I've been working for a lot of corporates, we had a lot of process. Everything was linked to a process. Every number, every measurement we did was linked to a process. We had a finance process, we had an operation process, we had a customer experience process. Everything was locked down in processes. If we take that, it's quite difficult for organizations who have been settled and have those processes internationally rolled out. The question then is, how can those organizations be disruptive when they have set their processes and deliverables in stone? How can they still obtain that startup mentality?
Okay, this is it's a great topic. It's a topic that I love because basically it's one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. No, I have been part of large corporations, some of those established for a long time, and this is a serious need. It's a complicated and not easy answer for this, no? And there's no magic recipe, no? So you need to build it, no? But it's true that we have a lot of examples and a lot of experience that are happening around, and that is the first thing. So I think that is the first element that we need to use in all cases. And I think that not only when you want to transform your organization, looking for new business models or implementing new methods or using new technologies. That is normally what we as humans we are trying to do. We are normally focusing on the solutions, no? And and that includes in some cases the processes, no, that they are important, and I think that are critical part of this. As a matter of fact, my background is, well, I'm an engineer and I'm a product manager. So in both cases, the processes and the systems are an essential element here. But well, we need to keep an spirit, as you said, that mindset of exploration in all cases. So we cannot say that because we have been successful, we're going to be successful in the future. And something that has been working, even something that has been working well for 100 years, is going to be ready for the future. So the first thing is awareness. No? So we need to know that we are living in a different reality that nowadays is in a different pace than in the past. No, well, if you remember when we were talking about, well, you are too young, but in my case, when I started, we're talking about strategic planning about 30 years or 40 years. No, well, we don't know what's going to happen in the summer now. So, and that is our what we have in our future, no? So we need to discover the future, because now it's changing constantly. We are in exponential times, and that is happening. And the first thing that I would like to reinforce: organizations that were built for the 20th century need to review, need to revisit everything from the origin, no? What is their mission, the vision, their values, no? And the relationship with the clients, what is really the value proposition? Because nowadays they can be easily disrupted by reality. And that is one of the first reasons and the first things that we need to bring into our organizations, knowing that the awareness, no, and awake to the new present that what we were thinking it was going to be the future, but the future is now.
Yeah. Well, the challenge I see, of course, you're right. It's culture. Culture is a big thing. Values also, I agree fully, is also a major element of driving that change in mindset and in change in organization. Um, if you look at the organizations which have been, well, let me turn it around. If I look at organizations which are trying or aiming to do be disruptive in the market, in a lot of cases, I see that they are not being disruptive by themselves as organization, but they're disrupting the world they are living in by acquiring organizations through M&A. They buy those startups. And from my experience, integrating those startups and that startup mentality into an existing business is not a sinecure. It's not something which you easily do. Recently, I did some support on for clients in integrating a new company into theirs. And what was really funny is that the first thing what happened was that the Q&A lead came to me and they said, look, these are our processes. So I want these processes implemented within that startup, within that company we acquired, because we own them now. We had a major discussion because if you would implement all those processes, you would take away all the flexibility to innovate effectively. Everything was related to budgets. That's logical. You also have that in the startup. But if you start implementing certain compliance rules and complexity behind it, which may not be valid for that specific company, you will have a major challenge. What would your recommendation when integrating a startup in an established organization from both a cultural as a process acquisition? How do you get those two organizations working? Is there a magic quadrant of tips you could share which organizations can look at before they start doing that integration?
Here, yeah, this is powerful, no? And it's true that if we want to accelerate the transformation, acquiring another organization that maybe are using a new method or developing a new technology with focus in our same value proposition, no? And they are doing something better. is really something that is going to accelerate the our go-to market. No, that's one of the easiest ways in terms of speed. No, but the reality shows that is not an easy process. No, it's like, well, I think that most of us, we want to be fit, no, and in some cases, well, we decide we have an objective, and maybe we buy an equipment for well, the static bicycle, no, at home, and that's not enough, no. So, well, you need to integrate that, to integrate a new habit in your life, and use it regularly, knowing how to use it, well, adapting that to your body, and finding the right way to really have the all the benefits expected, no? Well, it happens the same with M&A, and as a matter of fact, with other other ways, like creating those skills in the organization. So there are no magic recipes, unfortunately, and you need to adapt. Again, you need to learn, and you need to be prepared for that, and you need to really work in a lot of things. And again, I think that the starting point is the mindset, no, and as you mentioned, the culture. Yeah, well, trying to spread that mindset in the rest of the company, that is essential. um, so you have a preparation a process for this. It's a journey, no, it's not something that is going to happen because well, someone decides, well, from next month we are going to transform our processes to use artificial intelligence or drones or bot or whatever, no. So you need to prepare for that, and you need to prepare. When we're talking about the change, is not only the technical solution, well, are the people as well, no? And this is important. So that preparation, and finding the right motivation, sharing the benefits expected, having agreement that is not always consensus, but having agreement with the people that are going to execute that change and are going to do that is important. When you are bringing new people into your the organization, it's like a, well, you need an onboarding as a new recruit, no? It happens the same with a company, but the complexity is because you are bringing an organization that is coming with their mission, the vision, the values, their beliefs, the culture, and that integration needs to be worked. In some cases, what is important is to maintain the autonomy and working in that integration, well, step by step. And as a matter of fact, in some cases, and some successful cases, that innovation that you are bringing to the company, as a matter of fact, is eating the mother company, you know, because the value proposition was better, no? And again, well, we mentioned that. Well, we need to focus on the customer and the value propositions that are more important, no? That is the core of a business, more than our processes and the integration process, no? So the value should always be there, and that value needs to be linked with the impact that we want to generate. Normally, the impact is in our customer.
Yeah, no, I agree fully. I think that if you look at the value proposition towards your clients, that's the main thing you need to be focused on. You need to understand how you solve their pains and what you need to stay relevant on the longer term. It's cynical actually to getting that mindset across the whole organization. And personally, I've seen in a lot of integrations where, or I've been leading them, or in a lot of cases, I've been part of them. I've been the person who was impacted by those changes. Looking at myself, it was difficult to change that mindset because I didn't actually know what was happening behind it. We all know that what happens, what is discussed on the corporate board level does not always flow down towards the organization. People know what they have to know to be able to do their work. Leaders know what they have to know to be able to do their work. Leaders often do not, even if they know more than needed, the translation they need to make in how they coach and mentor and help their people cope with those changes is something they're not educated to. I talked to Friska Viria in one of our earlier podcasts, and she also mentioned is that no one was born with the competence to transform. No one was born with the education to continuously change. We were born very open in our thinking when we are young, and at a certain point we move towards a quite a fixed mindset within the organization, within yourself. Your parents have educated you. Look at myself. I was born as an Afro-American boy, thought that I had to work twice as hard as the people I was going to school with. I was the only black guy actually at school when I was in kindergarten. There were not many black guys at that time. So we had to work harder. That was my education. That's my fixed mindset. I had to work harder. What they should have taught me that I had to work smarter, which is different. You need to build up your tactics. You need to build up the way you put your flow in. And I think that one of the most important thing is achieving that mindset and finding the right people within your organization to sponsor that change. But the question is, how do you find those people within your organization? How do you find those people within all of the people who are working in based on the standard processes in their roles, who are able to transform and sponsor that different mind thinking and pushing that different mind thinking within the organization? I don't believe you can do that purely as leader or as executive by just telling the story. You need more than that. So from your perspective, and I know you do those abundance thinking workshops, how do you identify the right people within the organization to join those workshops and to drive that new thing?
Well, I mean, it's really powerful what you're mentioning, no, and our readiness for transformation. But let me tell you that, as a matter of fact, well, it's not that we are not prepared for transformation. In some cases, as a matter of fact, an evolution is, in some cases, leading us to the contrary. No, so our evolution starts, well, trying to survive, no, as and run and escape from the saber tip tigers, no? So that was our origin, no? And that, as a matter of fact, generate an important part of the evolution that is bringing us here, no? And those elements that are there and took a lot of years, I mean, in our development, in our evolution, are still there, no? And we have the amygdala, as a matter of fact, that is an element that is in our brain, and is there to prevent to prevent the risk in some cases, no, or alert or create alerts to let us know that we need to react in some way, and normally that reaction is against the change. No, and as a matter of fact, it's not only that amygdala, but that amygdala controls some well, chemistry in our body that is generated adrenaline and cortisol. That is the origin of the stress. No, so change generates that, and that prevents really our reaction, even if we have a promising future. No, so it's really complicated to really embrace the change, even for the better. So what we need to do? Well, those things needs to for sure need to be reinforced in all the organization, no? And with some things that in some facts, in some cases, what seems that is not that clear that is going to generate that value. But I will say that mindfulness, as a matter of fact, is tested, and there are a lot of scientific proofs on that is helping to that, no, helping to create the space for change, and that is super powerful. But in some cases, there are people that are prepared for that because they have do their own journey, and identify those is in general easy, but you need to create your interfaces and you need to identify that. So you need to prepare your annual assessments, no, when you are doing the annual evaluation, no, performance appraisals, etc., to identify those skills. So you need to look for that. Sometimes it's not that clear, and sometimes, as a matter of fact, as they are generating change in an environment where the organizational immune system is going to say, well, this is generating a risk, you need to identify as an opportunity. No, so those things are something that you can use to identify those people, and creating opportunities for them. No, in some cases, we creating an organization when they can experiment a little bit. No, we all are creative, but we have some beliefs, as a matter of fact, that we say no, and some beliefs, and those in some cases are generated by the education. Like, you cannot draw, no, and only if you are good drawing in kindergarten, you are allowed to keep drawing, and you are becoming better, no. And the people that well, some people that say that you cannot generate in you that idea that you cannot. Well, with innovation happens the same, because creativity is part of that innovation. So giving you the right to keep drawing, keep dancing, keep cooking, and generating new ideas is the starting point for innovation, because this is like a muscle. You need to practice to become better at that. And we at the organizations, we need to generate those spaces. That is important.
I think that's a really good one. Generating the space for creativity. I love the topic corporate entrepreneurship. I always have been trying as leader to help my people to be the corporate entrepreneur, not by telling them what they have to do, but getting them to think differently. How I'm stuffed. I'm so busy. Got so many things to do. So how do you prioritize? How do you make sure you automate stuff? Why are you doing certain things? Are they really important? How can you improve yourself? So more the questions towards helping people think differently. I hate. I've seen it in the past. I had a manager myself, and um, I hated him. That's also the reason I left the company. I didn't leave the company because of the company. It was a great company. I left the company because of the manager. And the reason for that is because he was really a manager. I want you to do A, B, C, D, and E, and I want you to do it this way, which was a fixed mindset in how things should have been done. At the back end, I knew to automate. I was quite technical in automation, although I was not a techie. I knew how to find tools online to automate stuff away. So I didn't have to do it. I saved myself a lot of time. Um, that motivation to help your organization to take ownership of their space and continuously innovate their space. But even in finance, you can innovate. You can write a query to automate certain data entry points, which you have to do every week. Why are you doing that? You can find someone within the organization who can do that for you, probably. Thinking continuously to find new ways to simplify the things you're doing. But also prioritization is really important within organizations. And that's, I think sometimes we keep too much stuck on this is the process, this is what we have to do, this is what we are being told to do, versus what can we do to make things better? What can we do to optimize things? What can we do to make our lives better in that relationship? So taking it a bit further, abundance thinking is a great way of creating a lot of cool ideas. Really, really great way of doing that. The concern always is that when you have an abundance of ideas, that you also have to make choices along the way. A lot of organizations struggle with making the right choice. I've got 50 ideas, 50 really great ideas. Now I have two levels. One, the impact of an idea. Which idea will I choose? And the second one, the motivation. Because if you are promoting people to be the corporate entrepreneur and they come up with ideas and you always have to say no because of budget, because of whatever, you lose the motivation. From your perspective, if you look at your abundance workshops, how do you help organizations, on one hand, make the right choice on which elements they will invest and test and learn, and on the second level, keep the motivation and the understanding with the people who didn't get what they wanted to have? Two levels of how do we put focus into the abundant thinking?
Yeah, let me share some ideas here related to that abundance mindset. No, that sometimes is not easy to understand directly. No, or there are a lot of definitions. No, but one of the elements on that abundance is a positive view. No, or something that leads to thinking that we can solve the big problems that are linked to our purpose, no, our vision of the world, our vision of the company, no, and where we want to generate impact. So this is an important element. So knowing that there are possibilities. Then we have those interfaces, knowing that there are solutions. We have science, we have technology, we have the people, we have experience, all those things. In some cases, even the processes, no? That, well, just a parenthesis here. So the processes work well when things are stable, no? Because we have a system, we have identified what is working well in the specific circumstances. So those processes are going to be working well there and can be improved. And this is a kind of innovation that we can do things better. But that requires that we have a stable environment. No? And if we have that and we are in that area, that is fantastic. We can improve our systems and we can keep evolving. And we are practicing, we are going to generate that innovative approach. No? But when we have an environment and a world around us that is changing constantly. Well, you know that we had a definition, no, in the past of our world. It was the VUCA times, no, something that was volatile, complex, ambiguous, uncertain, no. And right now, as a matter of fact, well, there's a new concept that is called the BANI that make things like it's an accelerated VUCA. So VUCA is not enough to describe the world, no? Because now it's not linear, it's incomprehensible. It's fragile, it's changing constantly and generating anxiety, no? So in that element, well, we need to stop a little bit, no? We need to see, well, how we are going to do and generate the impact that we want to do. And that is one other element that we need to really being disruptive, because well, there's a phrase from Albert Einstein that says that if I had 1 hour to save the world, I will spend 55 minutes understanding the problem, on 5 minutes working on the solution, no? And that's what we need to do. No, we always say to our customers that, well, if we are going to get in love with something, well, is not the solution. No, that sometimes is what we have. We have a great idea, and the idea is the solution, but it's more important to fall in love with our purpose and the problem. No, so to solve the problem, no, and to fix that, and that is going to help us to generate the right way to do the changes that are needed on this. And then finding that there are some elements. We use 11 attributes that we need to review to identify where we can act. And most of them are not related to technology, no, are not related to the solution, are related to the people, no? And for sure, communication and clear communication, autonomy, using social technologies, having another element that is important for this abundance mindset, that is the experimentation mindset, no? And the possibility to learn, no? And giving us the possibility to fail in some controlled way, to learn more, no? And learning is something that we need to keep as part of our day-to-day operations. No, that is the most important thing. Listening to our customers. No, everything that we think and what, as a matter of fact, even with our experience, we generate a lot of beliefs that we need to validate, and we validate with the customers, fixing what they need, those pains that you mentioned, generating more gains and making better solutions for the jobs that they do. No? So faster, better, cheaper, more accessible, more sustainable. So we need to focus on that. And again, that's the focus that we need to keep.
Cool. I agree with the part around the looking from using the 55 minutes to understand the problem and the 5 minutes to find the solution. That's something I think a lot of us, and I also sometimes do that, forget to do. We are always trying to, I think it's a bit of, especially in my profile, I always want to find solution for a problem because I believe there are no problems, there are only solutions. However, if you don't spend enough time on understanding what the problem is, your solution will be wrong. It will not have any impact on the organization. You mentioned education in between. I think education and communication play a huge role when transforming your organization, and also the right communication. Um, from If I look at general communication, we all know those town halls. You get into a town hall with your organization. Everybody is in the canteen or now on the Zoom call, and we listen to a one direction around the numbers, where are we going, a bit around our values, what are the initiatives, and all hands up in the air. From my experience, when I get on the train on Monday morning back to the office, I would have forgotten the whole session. Probably halfway the session, I fell asleep effectively. um, Education and communication. What will be for organization? How important is that? And what do you suggest to put in place when you are transforming your organization? Are there specific things you would say, these are really important elements to keep continuing, and these are the things you should not be doing moving forward because they don't have any impact?
Well, well, those are two areas that I love. As a matter of fact, I think that are a big chunk of what I'm doing and what I'm proposing. No? And let me start with education. As a matter of fact, for me, is more learning than education. No? And yesterday I was talking with a client. He was telling me well about how to identify what education is needed for the people. No? And I was telling him that, well, is learning what we need to do. And this goes also related with communication, because well, why are you asking me that? No, so ask them, no? And ask them after you have empowered them to understand the customer and how we are doing or generating insights from the market, from the customer, from their satisfaction. That also relates to processes, no? That we need to create processes for learning, not only and metrics for learning as well, no? So we need to use our customer service to learn from the clients. We need to have metrics like the Net Promoter Score as one important to understand and keep learning from the client. No? And again, the customers are the best source of generating insights on how we can improve and what we need to generate. No? Are they really thinking on automation? Do they really prefer to be connected with a bot? No, is this going to give them value? Well, we have some insights and we are going to generate some hypotheses that we need to validate. And for that validation, well, we need to some skills. And those skills are the skills that we need to then go to look for, well, to get them. No, in some cases are going to be through education. In some other cases are going to bring consultants or, well, developing our people to generate that. But in particular, what I think is better is to run a lot of experiments to generate that learning insight. So learning to learn is an important asset. And communication goes together, because communication is not something that goes top down or bottom up or laterally. So it needs to work everywhere. But the first thing is, it goes with other element that is not always there. No, we have that well, that structure, that organization, hierarchies, and in some cases, well, people are communicated differently. What I think that is important, and that goes related also to the abundance mindset, is that something that we have, and is one of the more relevant right now. As a matter of fact, well, Google is doing a business on that, and you know how they are ranked in the in the stock, no? So information is one of the elements that are more abundant in our current times, and we need to use that abundance and put it in the service of our organization. No, so available there. No, people need to go there and extract and transform information into knowledge. No, that is intelligence. The business intelligence is having that thing accessible, not having one system or another. So those are the keys on using those two attributes that you mentioned that are superpowers when are executed correctly in the organization.
Nice, nice, nice. I see that we're running actually a bit out of time. So our 30-minute podcast is a bit too short to actually really crack the code. A bit of resume. So we started off with, can a 50-year-old organization turn themselves into a startup? We talked about organizations who use M&A to integrate the new methodology. We talked a little bit around the challenges you would have when mixing those different cultures and creating a new culture. We talked about the values of an organization, how they drive these kind of transformations. We talked about mindset, growth mindset, abundance mindset, all really good elements to help an organization move forward in respect to creating that new vibe. And we talked about the people within the organization, how to help them move forward into really adopting towards being that corporate entrepreneur, identifying them, coaching them, helping them, communicating, etc. So we covered actually really quite a lot. I want to ask you the question in. Can a 50-year-old organization turn themselves into a startup? What is your answer?
Yes, it is possible, and there are a lot of ways to do that. And I will insist in two elements: experiment and learn. There are no magic recipes for this, so you can use the traditional methods. You can generate and create the startups and giving them autonomy to do that on the edge, and let them create. No, you can bring some of that knowledge into the organization to well, this word is not really popular nowadays, no, but like a virus in your organization, a positive virus in this case, to generate transformation, no, and that is happening. No, there are a lot of organizations. I'm also working with B Corps. Some of the B Corps that are generating transformation in multinational companies, no, with the really large corporations, is because they bought a company that they were purpose-based, they were using exponential attributes, they had the exponential and the abundance mindset, and even being small, they generate huge transformation. An example that I would like to mention is Ben and Jerry's in Unilever. And Unilever is in a transformation journey, but starting with a seed inside the company. So you need to create those seeds. And the role of the leaders is that creating seeds, no, and in all levels, no, and generating more spaces for co-creation, for designing, for growing in different skills, but for sure in more in soft skills, generating calm in the people, no, giving time for growing, no, opportunities for experimentation, as well they have in Google. Some of the products that are really successful are part of their experimentation. 3M, no, that has been doing that for decades, no. So create those spaces and experiment and learn and listen to your customer.
Love it. Experiment and learn. So that's a takeaway we're going to take forward in this podcast. So we're at the end of today's podcast. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Paco, if people want to engage with you and looking at the solutions you offer also through the DNA and Associates co-creation platform, can you tell a little bit about the solutions you offer into market?
Well, the solutions are based in working with organizations in three elements that are the mindset, the motivation, and the methods that they can use to work in this abundance and positive mindset, building exponential organizations and creating that space inside the organization for growing exponentially using the right attributes that are show success with organizations that are unicorns or that are really the main incumbents in their sector. So yeah, I really invite you visit the DNA platform, and well, for sure, if you want to get deeper and talk about some of the elements that we have discussed today, well, I'm more than happy to have that conversation with you. So go to the DNA platform, and that is a great place to keep the conversation.
Thank you, Paco. Thank you, Paco, for today. It was really exciting. I learned a lot from your feedback also on these questions. I think that for a lot of organizations, it's going to be more and more important, and it is already important. I think almost every organization already confirms that it is important to be disruptive in their segment, to differentiate themselves with their competitors. And I hope we have been able to give you guys some tools to think about, to motivate you, to engage on that new stuff, to engage on innovation, even if it's an internal innovation of a process or a system or people or teams. Now is the time, especially during this crisis, to take the step up and transform your organization forward. Again, Paco, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. I trust that people really loved it. I'm going to sign off for now. Do you want to have a last word, Paco?
Well, thanks for the opportunity and invitation, for the lovely conversation, and just think that or disrupt or be disrupted. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.